47 Meters Down Uncaged is a film about silt and water and silt and people that you can kind of see in the water and the silt. The sharks, and the sharks do bite and eat people sometimes, but when they do so, usually you have to look through a lot of darkness and a lot of silt. It's sad because this movie actually could have been one of the highlights of summer. I'm a sucker for shark films. I like The Shallows. I even like Meg. I think there's something that's just primal about the idea of going into the water and there being a large toothed fish in the water that you can't really get a beat on, and you certainly can't outrun, or in this case, outswim. This is probably the worst shark movie to come out in recent years, not because of its concept being bad, because the concept is actually pretty awesome. It's campy, and it was always going to be campy, but done right, this could have been a really strong late August diversion. It could have been a film that we revisited in 10 years and said, you know what, fun was enough. And wasn't that a time in our history where we could still have, the kind of peril and the kind of danger? Because in 10 years, we will be looking at even more safe, non-offensive films. So something like this today probably will look a lot better in the future. That is, if we could see anything happening on screen. The last 5 minutes of the movie are what this whole movie should have been, because the last 5 minutes are pretty awesome. Is that worth a ticket? No. And to be honest with you, the film fails on basic dramatic structure long before we are squinting to try and see through silt in water. We never get any character development that's worth anything. And what we do get is less than sitcom quality. Do we have to really build sympathy for a character by having her be hazed by her classmates? There's an insinuation in this movie that that our main character is the ugly girl, but like everyone in this film, they're all extraordinarily attractive people. None of it really plays. It's like we're supposed to be watching through a fantasy reality that we all buy into for the sake of the movie, and that's kind of Hollywood at its worst. But all that could have been saved if the action was really, really intense. You would think the idea of not being able to see in front of your face and there might be a shark there, a giant albino white shark. That should be a strong, chaotic, very frightening experience. And it's not. If anything, it's actually very boring because you don't know these characters, you don't care about them. The threat to them is actually welcome because at least something will happen. The setting's great. What you can see of it, the submerged ancient temple. They call it a city, but I don't see how that can be since they describe characters as being on the other side of the city, but in the next scene they're in the next room. So it's more like a single cathedral that's underwater. It's just a very minor film that deserves to be really a streaming original. The fact that it got out to theaters because the first film did well after being released on video and then into theaters is just an indication that this is not a franchise that really has found any kind of direction. On the positive, I can say that the sharks, when you do see them, do look very good. I have problems about the existence of the sharks since there doesn't seem to be a large enough breeding population or food source to actually allow them to exist in the way they're portrayed in the film. But putting that aside and saying it's a horror film, I should leave my brain at the door, which I never like that concept, but I'm willing to run with. Honestly, 47 Meters Down Uncaged is one of the least satisfying experiences in theaters of the year, definitely in the genre. There's been too much good internationally for us to really worry about a film like this. Yes, it's available closer, you don't have to search down, but it's bringing you nothing. The last 5 minutes are not worth it. I mean, I'm sure in a couple of weeks you'll be able to find them online, and you can get all the thrills that they provide in one sitting, probably on your lunch break at work or even on just a 15-minute smoke break at work. So, would I suggest it? No, I wouldn't suggest going to see it at all. It's really not worth the time. People used to say that nothing happened in the Blair Witch Project. This film takes that to a whole new low. And whereas Blair Witch, because we knew the characters and the situation seemed very, very dire, that film works for me. This does not. This doesn't work at all. So rather than go out to the theater to check out 47 Meters Down, please check streaming. There are a number of great international films that have come out. There is a number of great domestic films that are coming out. At least I hope they're great.